Now, you may have watched Top 10s here on Board Game Geek and heard us talk about our favorite games, but today we're going to change it up. We are talking about the people, and this is the People's Choice favorite games of 2025.
What's up, everybody? My name is Nick.
I'm Mike.
We are the Brothers Murph, and that's right. Today we're going to talk about the People's Choice. So this is going to be the users of BGG, presumably like you who are watching this video.
We hope that you are a user of BGG.
If you're watching this on YouTube, you're not on BGG, get on BGG. It's great. And so BGG is this living website, which one thing we really like about it, and one thing you can do on BGG is rate games. And the highest rated games go on to the BGG Top 100. And so there are a whole bunch of different categories and ways you can look at, like, oh, these are the top 10 worker placement games based off of the people who are rating them. That is you. If you're not rating your games, make sure to rate them, because that's how you change the whole thing. So we really wanted to kind of start a series where we highlight y'all, we highlight the people, we highlight what people want, because mostly we're talking about our favorite games, because it's a top 10 about our personal favorite games of 2025 or something like that. So we thought it'd be really, really cool to start highlighting the people a little bit more, because y'all are ones who make BGG run.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it is one of the coolest things about this website is that the community can contribute their own photos, their own feelings about a game, reviews. You can make geek lists and on and on and on. You can have discussions and forums.
Blogs, everything.
Everything. It's an amazing resource here, and it is something that is ever changing. So on that note, we have pulled up the 10 highest ranked games from last year.
Yeah, from 2025.
And that is as of this moment, because this is something, you know, the lists and stuff will morph over time, especially something that is tiny like the best games of this last year, because there's a lot of people who have never played any games from 2025 yet, and they might go and rate their games later. So one thing we ask that you do is occasionally come back and check this video. See what the list looked like today.
Because in a week, this list might be different.
Yeah, and so check Board Game Geek and see how much things have changed. I think it's a really cool thing. It's
a really nice snapshot in time.
Yes, exactly.
You know, in early January, this was the top 10 games of 2025. Next year, it will be different.
Absolutely. I think it's super duper cool. So without further ado, let's hop into your picks for 2025. So number 10 is going to be Speakeasy. As we were originally looking at this list, it hadn't actually entered the top 10 yet, but is now in top 10 of the year, and I think destined to eventually become higher up.
I would assume so.
This is Lacerda's game from this past year, where you are running speakeasies. It's during the time of Prohibition. We're in the 1920s.
It went great.
It went great. And so, of course, they outlawed alcohol, and alcohol still was around, but it was underground.
It was.
So we are, you know, kind of mob families running these speakeasies.
The mobsters.
And, you know, either, you know, purchasing alcohol from rum runner boats, or building a stills and producing our own hooch, delivering it around New York City, as there's kind of an ever-growing presence of police and rival mobsters that are sort of threatening the different districts on the board that you are trying to manage. This is kind of largely done through worker placement and then kind of card play that might augment the actions you take, those kind of four main actions.
Yeah, because the four main actions are basically like producing alcohol at your stills, moving that alcohol around through your trucks. You have these little trucks that fit the barrels in there. It's very cute.
It's very nice.
The party cards, the party action, which is how you sell that alcohol at your buildings. And the last one, which is going to be the VIP action, where you'll send your family members out to protect your buildings. Because if there's a police presence in your district where your buildings are, your buildings basically don't exist unless they have someone.
Cops.
Yeah, you can't operate right in front of the cops. You got to have your family member out front being like, "Hey, this is the laundromat," you know, kind of thing.
Welcome
to
don't come over here.
Gambino's laundromat, you know, kind of thing. So you have to protect. So those are the four main actions. But one thing that's really cool about this, and why I think this is resonating with the people, and particularly Lacerda fans in general, is because it's kind of doing something that a lot of these big Euro games are doing, but particularly Lacerda has been doing a lot, whereas like these are these 4 main actions. There's a lot of stuff you can do in the game, but those are like the 4 core actions.
Right.
But there's a bunch of different ways you can go about doing those actions. You can do it through worker placement, like Mikey said. You can do it through card play. There are these like little city tokens that you can get, and there's another action where you can use these city tokens. Those city tokens might allow you to do those actions. So what you can do is kind of pretty straightforward, but then how you can actually go about doing it is wildly deep. You can do all sorts of different ways where you, like Mikey said, you can buy rum from the rum runners. You don't need to make it yourself. And I've played games with people who never built their stills, which means they could never make their own alcohol.
Yeah.
And they were just
But doesn't mean they're
buying
locked out
it.
from getting it.
They were just stealing it. They were just doing stuff and then selling it at their buildings. And that was a totally viable strategy. It's really, really cool. And also on top of that, just theme and art-wise, this is Lacerda's best in my opinion.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just incredible.
Lacerda and Eno Toole have been paired up together as a designer-artist duo, and it's been really awesome. And Eno Toole is our personal favorite artist.
Yeah, probably.
And I think really at the top of the game. And yeah, like just bringing that kind of jazzy, roaring 20s energy to life, I think is really excellent. But yeah, there's so many combos, so many ways you can go about accomplishing your goals. There are many areas around the board that are sort of like objectives for you to go for. You can cook the books. And everything is in service of getting as much money as possible, which are your victory points.
Yeah.
Number 9 is going to be Nemesis Retaliation.
Yeah.
Nemesis has been a wildly popular
This is the third one,
series.
right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
And this is another, semi-cooperative, maybe you're all working together, maybe you're not, game.
You can choose, to be fair. Like,
where you're on an alien planet and you are kind of running and gunning.
Yeah, you're on a ship, basically.
And ultimately trying to fulfill your personal objective. So that's why it's like sometimes, it could be a thing where it's just like, hey, you just need to survive. Just you, and if everyone else lives or dies, whatever, but you're going to do what you got to do to survive, and that might be working together, that might be running away at the last second, hopping on a little escape pod and getting out of there. But this is one that, again, Nemesis is sort of loosely inspired by Alien, it seems. It's a familiar kind of thing. And if Nemesis is Alien, the Nemesis Retaliation is Aliens, where now we have cooler, bigger guns.
Yeah.
And if we're in these kind of corridors, which is, parts of the map, you are very have a big tactical advantage over these aliens. You can kind of wipe out hordes of them. But then if you get into these bigger open rooms and those baddies come in with you, all of a sudden they have a big advantage. They're hard to hit, and you gotta be strategic about where you are, what doors you open and close, how you try to control where these aliens can come at you from as you go and try to accomplish your goal, which might be like blowing up a nest of the alien hives, or one of them was like we had to power down certain critical systems of this station and sort of get it to self-destruct and on and on and on.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the main goal that everyone can go for, and if everyone goes for that, everyone wins. But again, you have these individual stuff that you could do that might be like, hey, you need to be the only one who survives, and you can do that in kind of Betray, but you also don't have to do it, because I'm not really like a semi-co-op, I want to screw over my friends kind of person.
Traitor guy.
So it's great because I could just play this cooperatively, and that's great. So I really like that there's those options. It's not always semi-co-op where you always have to do that. But the first Nemesis was very like cat and mouse. It was very like much more like suspense. You're hiding from the alien. You can't really fight back very well. But then this one is much more like you can take the offensive. If you're in a hallway and you're throwing a flamethrower down that hallway, it's cooking everything in there.
It's going to be effective.
It's going to be effective. And there's like the big queen kind of roaming around trying to fight stuff. It's definitely, at least in terms of like the Nemesis, and we've only ever played Retaliation, but from what I know about the other ones, I think this one will definitely be my preference, because it's kind of like, I think what a lot of people were asking for, they're like, this is really cool, but can I have a bigger gun? Okay, cool, thanks.
A lot bigger gun.
Have a lot bigger gun, and so this one's definitely for me, but I understand people really, really love, I mean, the original Nemesis is in the top like 50 games, so it's like
wildly
very, very
popular.
This has been an incredibly successful franchise, and I get why the people like it.
Next up is going to be Toy Battle, number 8. This is a game that's gotten a lot of love this year.
I'm not really surprised about that.
Yeah.
This seems like a almost like Spiel des Jahres kind of candidate, like simple,
very simple rules,
kind of simple darling of the year.
Almost Stratego-ish. It's not in terms of like there's hidden stuff, but
There kind of is.
It's a game where you are playing on a map. There's 8 different maps, I think in the game.
Yeah, there's 4 different double-sided maps.
And it's a 2-player game. You have a headquarter on one end, your opponent has a headquarter on their other end, and you're trying to put out these units, which are all toys. There's like a rubber ducky and stuff, and a little
army
parachuting
man and a
monkey,
skeleton.
And things like that. And you're playing these, and they all have ranks from 1 to 7, and to place out into a space, you have to be able to create basically an unbroken line back to your HQ.
Yeah, your headquarters,
and if you want to cover up an opponent's piece, because ultimately you're trying to get, across the way to your opponent's HQ, you got to put a unit that is higher than their number to be able to cover them up. Each, or most of the tiles, I should say, have special abilities that might allow you to draw more tiles into your hand. They might allow you to remove adjacent pieces, pick up pieces you've placed on the board and pick them back up, and things like that. And you're just trying to kind of jockey for position to either surround certain areas on the board to collect these kind of objective stars, which is one way to win, or again, make an unbroken line of units from your HQ to your opponent's HQ. If you can make that unbroken line, you win. And so it's just like a nice, like, what tiles do you have? Do I want to play this big tile here? Because, if I play my 7, which is the strongest, but you have a rubber ducky, which is wild and can cover anything, well, that might break up my whole plan as I try to build this, string of units out. But it's very simple. It's like either play a tile or you can draw 2 tiles into your hand. But there's like fun little abilities and things.
And there's no asymmetry in terms of, it's not like I have certain troops and Mike has certain troops. We both have the same. Now, you'll draw them at different times, so you don't know who has what, because you have a little stand.
And you always have, I think, 3 or 4 that are not in the game, so you're not exactly going to have the exact same breakup of tiles.
Exactly, but it's not like, I don't have this at all and Mike does, so I have to. But the difference comes between the various arenas, essentially, that you're in. There's 8 different ones. That's very, very cool.
They change up the game rules a little bit.
Yeah, and exactly. It's a really cool, nice way to change up the game, but like I like how simple it is. It's by Paolo Mori, who does like the Blitzkrieg, World War II in 20 minutes and stuff. They do these kinds of games very, very well. And so it's just this kind of cool little head-to-head, but it's very, very simple, very, very easy. It's just that kind of strategic, do I want to use my 7? What if they have a duck? Because the duck can go on anything, but then anything can go on top of the duck. So it's like this really interesting tactical back and forth. Do you try and surround stuff? Do you try to make a beeline for their headquarters? It's really, really interesting. I like this one a lot. It's kind of one when I first heard about it, I was like, okay, it seems all right. Then we played it, and I was like, that was kind of more interesting than I thought it was going to be. Then I played it recently. I showed a friend Jimmy, and I was like, I don't know, this one's really good. This is a cool game.
You can be more strategic than you think, for sure.
Yeah, it's a good one. I really think this is going to be kind of like that simple, it's ultimately kind of abstract strategy because it's like strategio-y. It's going to be that kind of darling of this year. So I'm actually not really surprised that it's already in the top 10 for the year. I think it's going to stay here if I had to guess, Yeah,
absolutely. And this is a game that's on Board Game Arena, which is an online platform for playing board games that is supported by the publishers. So if this is one that you're curious about and haven't found it physically or don't want to buy it blind, you can try it over there. And it might be one that you find to your liking and pick it up. It's a nice little, good little, production. It's very well put together in a not too large box with a bunch of variability with those different maps.
Number 7 was the party game that I predicted was gonna be here, and this is Hot Streak. I am not at all surprised that Hot Streak is here.
Yeah,
Hot Streak is ridiculous in a good way. It's this silly little race game, kind of along the lines of something like a Camel Up, if you've played that.
Sure. Yep.
Where there is a race going on, in this case, between 4 mascots, like sports team mascots. There's like a big hot dog, there's a big old fish, there's like a Victorian queen, and then there's a big old bear. And it's mascots, and basically these mascots are going to be racing to the end of this little track based off of this deck of cards that come out. Well, this track will move I think it's Dobler or something like that. Dobber or something like that.
Dobber, I think, is the fish,
The fish. That moves the fish forward 2, and then this one moves Mum, the queen, forward 3. Oh, this one makes the hot dog turn around. And so that's how the race is being done, is by these cards. And so what you're doing before the race happens is you're betting on who you think is going to win,
right?
Which has kind of been it's not necessarily a new concept, but there's been a lot more games that are like that, like something like Ready, Set, Bet, where it's like you're not actually doing the racing. You're betting on who you think is going to win the race, and you have a little bit of control, but not a lot of control over how that happens, because you are going to get to add a card to that deck.
Right.
And you might add, like, I'm going to have the bear fall down. So if Mike chooses the bear, someone else chooses the bear, they don't know that fall down card is going to happen. They can turn around and start going the wrong way. It's absolute mayhem. So everyone chooses their bids, who they want to bid. There's also kind of like little prop bets that you can choose, like yes or no on those. And then the race just happens, and you have no say in what happens.
Yeah.
And it's just
You just are a
bonkers.
spectator.
They're moving lanes. They're like running into each other because they're just like these big unwieldy mascots.
The board is sort of like disappearing behind them, so some of them just get like, they fall off the board completely.
It's
they're gone,
ridiculous.
You know? I think this is one that, like, when we first saw a little demo of this about a year ago now.
Yeah, about a year ago now.
It is all about the fun factor. Like the not so many minis are fully painted, really fun, really evocative of those kind of big mascots at sporting events. The idea that you can kind of make these bets, but it's a really silly kind of race and everything. A review that I read on Board Game Geek that a user left, they rated it a perfect 10, and they said they played a lot over the holidays. And they were saying that, like, this can go over with anybody. They played it one day with their kids who are 10 and 12, and the next day they played it with the grandmas, and everybody was just as excited by, like, you know, rooting for their favorite mascot and the people they bet on in this game. So I think there's something to be said for, like, something that's purely fun and purely silly. It's just supposed to be a good time. I think that's something that, especially around the holidays and time with family, you want something that has great appeal, not hard to learn, there's not a lot of rules or anything, but it is not afraid just to be fun and silly for that sake.
Next up, I guess we shouldn't be too surprised because it's Stonemaier. This is going to be Finspan. This is the fish wingspan.
Absolutely, yeah. So this is sort of a slightly simpler...
It's more family weight for sure.
Family weight version of like a wingspan style game. This time you are looking at all sorts of exotic fish. And rather than, if you're familiar with wingspan, you're observing birds, and you have these kind of rows of cards you create that you then activate and carry out their abilities and stuff. Now you'll be diving down. You have these divers. There's 3 columns that you are kind of building out with these different fish, many of which have, you know, kind of activation abilities when you use your divers. And largely in this one, there's a fewer, I guess, types of powers in this one. There are ones that allow you to lay eggs, kind of create these schools of fish, and kind of move your schools of fish around. And when playing cards, the cards are going to have a cost where you have to discard other cards from your hand.
Yeah, usually.
So you're not dealing with a bunch of different resources. You are simply having to discard cards. There might be certain ones that require that you have certain icons kind of visible in your tableau that you're building, but it does try to kind
Some cards will go on top of other fish because they're like eating that fish and
if
stuff
it's a
like
bigger
that.
fish, they can eat a smaller fish. And things like that. So, you know, it has like that kind of DNA of wingspan, but makes it just a little easier to get into. And this is something that, like, wingspan is so wildly popular. They just announced there's another expansion coming out, or maybe by the time this video comes out,
Maybe it is already out, yeah.
And for good reason. Like, it's a great engine building, tableau building, combo-tastic kind of game, and I think it was... you know, creating like a more family weight version of that. It's not like a tiny, you know, filler game or anything. But, you know, it's something that is just maybe, we're not going to give you a bajillion different powers to have to track in your mind.
Yeah, there's only like 10, honestly, like
really,
in the whole game, really.
A little more pared down stuff, but there's like really cool art as always. Everything you kind of come to expect from the wingspan sort of line of games is present here. So yeah, I guess we shouldn't be surprised to see that it's shown up on the best of the year list. Stonemaier has quite a reputation, and you will be hearing about them again.
Next would be Arydia, the paths we dare tread.
Dare tread. This is a big cooperative campaign.
It's the only one on the list that we haven't played, huh?
Yeah, so, you know, that won't always be the choice of the people's choice, but in this one...
Really good things, yeah.
Yeah, I'm really...
I want to try it really bad, I'm not going to lie.
This is a big cooperative campaign, kind of open-ended story, a game of exploration, really, where you as a party are going to be taking on roles, a bit of the role playing there, and have different kind of focuses and skills and things like that. And you're going to be going through and exploring the world. You're going to be encountering monsters and things to fight, different encounters in towns and things like that. And this is a game that you will, every time you play, you'll kind of continue where you left off and explore the world further. And things that have happened before might affect, what happens at a certain location. Like if you've made certain decisions back here, when you get to this location, you might have different options that weren't possible before for good or for better or worse as you go through and explore. And one thing that's kind of cool that I think games are kind of doing a little bit more now, especially when thinking about being as eco-friendly as possible, is that it is a legacy game, but it is resettable.
Yeah, it's like green legacy.
Green legacy,
the term, right?
So it's something that you can fully reset and play through again and maybe make different decisions or pass on to somebody if you wanted to. But this is one that has just, the production is amazing. I think they are currently or just ran another Kickstarter for the next printing.
Yes, I think it's over by this point.
Yeah, and like the pieces and stuff, and the way you can kind of almost pop out pieces from the boards and things, as you're discovering stuff. Super cool.
Yeah,
just
it's
a
rad.
really nice production. And so I think that, it getting into people's hands before the end of the year helped kind of generate that buzz and excitement to make it pop up on this list. But yeah, this is one that we always are interested by these types of campaign games. We don't always have the time to play them.
Unfortunately, yeah.
But this is one that sounds really, really cool because it seems like it makes it fairly easy to stop and then come back to later. They have an indexing system to kind of make it as easy as possible to kind of pick it back up and play it in the future. And then it being such a nice production as well, I'm like, oh man, we might have to track this down someday and give it a try.
Next up is going to be The Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era.
Yes.
This was very anticipated by a lot of people, including us. I'm a big Elder Scrolls fan, Skyrim, Oblivion, Morrowind. I played a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
We like chip theory games, and I really think this is they took all the great things about various chip theory games and put in a big old game, and that was this one. I really like this one. But yeah, so this is based in the Elder Scrolls world. It's not based in any of the video games specifically. It's not based in Skyrim or Oblivion or something like that. It's set in that world, and it's a campaign game, but it's a doable campaign, I'll say. Each campaign is only 3 sessions, and then that's the end of the campaign. Then you start a whole new one. So it's something you can do in a weekend. It's something you can do in a couple game sessions. It's not like, oh, this is going to take us months and months to get through, which means most people realistically won't get through it. This one you can. You can play. We've done 2 streams on our channel, The Brothers Murph, all in one sitting of an entire session.
It's a long sitting, but you can do it.
It's a long sitting, but you can do it. Trust us, we've done it twice. And it was very fun both times. But yeah, this is a game where you are going to, these Elder Scroll games, so much of them about building the character that you want to build. And that's what they really focus on in this game. You will start off with one of the various fantasy races. You could be like an orc or a Nord or a Breton or something like that. They all have a special ability that they can kind of do. And then you are getting the various skill lines. So, like bow or one-handed and shield. Yeah, like two-handed, heavy armor, light armor, medium armor. There's a whole bunch of them. And they're all going to have essentially kind of like a dice tech tree to some degree to them that you will basically spend your experience that as you're going through and doing these various kind of guild quests, you're gaining experience as you're going through them, and you're spending that experience for the most part on unlocking more dice from these various skill trees. And then when you go to various towns, you can get items like common items and legendary items, but you can also train in new stuff because the town is generally where the trainers are. So you're like, oh, I'm going to go two-handed and heavy armor. I'm going to be like a melee tank person. And then Mike over here is doing destruction magic in the back and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you can mix and match however you want. And that's what's really cool. And that's what's nice about these sessions being as short as they are. Is you're like, this one, I'm going to do a whole bunch of this stuff. Next session, I'm going to do a whole bunch of this stuff over here. Yeah. And every session, you are running essentially as one of the guilds, like the Thieves Guild or the Fighters Guild, and you're in a different area in the Elder Scrolls, like Morrowind or something like that. But then once you're done with that session, you're going to move on to a different guild for the most part in a different kind of land. It's just really, really cool. I really think they knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, so we're big fans. This was personally our favorite game of last year.
Yeah, it was. Good job, people.
Yeah, we agree. And I think it's really popular because people love chip theory games. The the whole Elder Scrolls saga, of games. Like literally, you grew up on those
Yeah,
games,
I did,
and a lot of other people did too.
But you did, and you still enjoy it, which was nice.
Yeah,
Right?
I think that's something. Yeah, I think that's why this game is popping up. My guess is that like you don't have to have played the video games to enjoy this game. I know nothing about these video games other than what I've watched you play and have played through by playing this game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the fact that like there's so much content to explore, but the contained nature of each particular campaign you play, I think makes it bite-sized enough that you can, do a few things, but, the different areas you're in, if you're in Morrowind, versus Skyrim or something, there are environmental effects that will be happening, different things that are happening in the world that will affect your play. And then also what guild you happen to be in within that part of the world will also change stuff. So there's really so much to explore based on the different combinations of things you did. And then, of course, the character you build. You don't have to just do one type of skill. You ultimately create a blend of skills, and the way that those things can kind of work together as you level them up can be really interesting and unique. So I really appreciate, kind of as we were talking about with Arydia, sometimes it's hard for us to play those games, like a Gloomhaven that's really a big time investment. We can play this for a weekend and then fully reset it, and we don't need to have remembered what we were doing in that last one, because this is another unique experience. Too Many Bones from Chip Theory Games is also really massively popular, and I feel like this takes a lot of the DNA from Too Many Bones with the whole kind of dice menu that you can get, and then spruces things up, creates this cool cooldown track for things. And I feel like that is another layer on top of just the IP itself being popular that has really made this resonate with people.
Yeah.
I told you before that Stonemaier is going to be reappearing, and they are right now. Number 3's Vantage, which is a Jamey Stegmaier design, which is
talk about it's an exploration game.
Big time.
That's all you do. Yeah.
It is a world, kind of a game that is just built around the world that it is set in. You are, in every game you play of this, and each game is just kind of its own experience. It is not a campaign game that you go from session to session to session. Instead, you're playing a bunch of standalone, game experiences, but it's always in the same weird alien world.
Yep.
You are always going to be crash landing onto this planet. You are all going to be landing in different areas of the planet. It's a cooperative game. And you are going to be encountering different types of sentience, these creatures of all types and descriptions. You are going to be going to different areas, different environments, different, biome types and stuff as you go and explore around. And the whole kind of Vantage aspect is the fact that we are always going to be on a location card that you can see, but you can't share with your other players what the card is. You can describe it. You can talk about the types of actions you have available while you're on this card. But the idea is that I'm the only one here. I'm the only one who can actually see what I'm seeing. And thematically, we're talking on the radio to each other so I can relay information and describe stuff, but we can't actually see it.
Yeah.
And it really is about the exploration of this vast planet. There's like 1,800 cards or something
insane.
in the box. So many cards that are different locations, different characters and items and quests and things you can go on. And every time you play, you'll have sort of a loose mission. Like ours was, hey, find someone to give you a quest and then complete that quest.
That's it.
There's not like a place that's like, this is the quest area. It's like, you
Here's
just
the
have to
quest
find
store.
somebody.
Go to the quest store, go to the quest aisle, you get a quest.
Yeah, it's like, no, you have to find somebody, and eventually you'll probably find someone who will put you on a quest. And we did.
We did.
And we were in all different areas. Nick was underwater exploring the seas. I was in some tree city getting married and running a tailoring business. Another buddy of ours who we were playing with was like trying to hack into some sort of mainframe.
Yeah, it's a big tower.
And like
I was trying to solve a murder mystery.
You were trying to solve a murder. On and on and on. And this game is really designed around the exploration aspect. And I think that's what people really like is it's a fun, colorful world. Like the world is interesting and weird and playful. The game does not have a lot of rules.
No.
It's not a heavy rules.
It's about the story
mechanism experience. It's about the story that you sort of
kind of discover as you're
discover
going. Yeah.
and sort of the stories, the meta narratives that happen where you're talking about, like Nick literally rolled up on a whale taxi.
Yeah.
It was a giant sea creature that opens its mouth and a bunch of people are inside are like, hey, you want to take a ride with us?
Yeah.
And like we got to
I thought it was going to attack me. It didn't.
Yeah, and we got to experience just like the what, of that together, and that was really really kind of fun. And I think that's what is kind of driving people's interest in this game, is that it is just about the exploration.
Yeah.
It doesn't get in its own way in terms of those rules. And people seemingly, again, at least it's the third highest ranked game from last year as of this moment.
Yeah.
So people seem to agree that it's pretty awesome. Get to the top two, man. We're getting up there now. We're getting up there. This is going to be the Lord of the Rings Fate of the Fellowship, a pandemic system game.
Yeah, it wasn't just the IP that put it there. It's really fun. Man, we've talked about this game a bunch. I mean, it's if you watch our hottest board games of the month video, a lot of these games you've seen, because we're talking about last year, right? So,
yeah.
And Fate of the Fellowship is a pandemic system game. So it's a game, in this case, loosely based on Pandemic. It's by Matt Leacock, and they've kind of really started, because they had Pandemic and they had things like Pandemic Iberia, which is still like mostly Pandemic.
Yes.
And then they've kind of started to branch out where there's a lot of Pandemic DNA, but they're pretty different games. The games like Fall of Rome was like very different. And then you started really branching out with things like the Star Wars Clone Wars Pandemic and like Wrath of the Lich King, the World of Warcraft one, which are like, these are very different games. And then they came out with Fate of the Fellowship, which is based off of the Lord of the Rings. And Pandemic was our gateway game into the hobby. It's the first kind of hobby board game we played.
Classic cooperative game.
Yeah, and we're massive Lord of the Rings fans. If you didn't know that, it's ridiculous. And so this was kind of a slam dunk for us, but then it was just really, really cool. It's just very, very interesting the way it's done. So, and this is a game where cooperative, of course, and you are all the kind of the fellowship to some degree, where you're each going to be taking on 2 characters instead of the normal 1, and you're basically each turn you're going to get 4 actions with one of your characters and then 1 action with the other one, and you can choose which one gets which.
Right.
And so you could be like controlling like Mori and controlling Boromir or Galadriel or Gollum or any of them.
Yeah.
And you're essentially trying to do 3 of these quests and then the final quest. And the final quest is always, of course, destroying the ring. And so, but the other 3 quests could be really anything from the stories. And there's a whole bunch of them because obviously they're huge stories. So it might be like, oh, it's the Mere Galadriel. So it means you have to be doing a whole bunch of stuff over in Lothlorien. And these quests, what's so fun about this game, at least to me, is that they really make you play differently every single time. Because this time, you're going to have to go over here and do all of this stuff over here. But next game, you might not even touch that part of the map because none of the quests bring you over there. And I find that to be so interesting. It's just, I don't know, this game is a slam dunk for me. But it's based in Pandemic, but it's, I would say, the most loosely based in Pandemic? Because even like the card play is very different, where you're not even trying to collect sets anymore for the most part.
There's still the kind of basic Pandemic DNA of, on your turn, you have a unique character, or characters in our case. You're going to take 4 actions with a character.
Draw cards.
You're going to draw a couple cards out that are going to be the bad guy stuff happening, but really the way a lot of those things function are all different. Like again, you have multiple characters now. You're going to activate one character and then another character on the same turn. The missions will change up. The characters, depending on the missions that you draw out, there are certain characters that will have to be in play.
Yes.
You can't do the Mirror of Galadriel thing without Galadriel in play, for example. So I do feel like it's different. It does show its DNA with other Pandemic games. The troop movement on the map kind of feels like Pandemic Fall of Rome. But it does feel the most kind of different and quite thematic to Lord of the Rings as well. That I think, again, great game, foundation of a game, Pandemic, awesome IP, bringing those things together, like good stuff tends to happen.
I I'm not really surprised it's number one.
No, this feels like we'll say like a BGG user pick.
Yeah. Which we are. It's it's one of our
100%.
favorite games of the year too.
This is Galactic Cruise.
Yeah, Galactic Cruise.
Galactic Cruise, what I mean by saying it's a BGG user pick is there are niches and then there are niches within niches.
Yes.
And if you are a board gamer, you're within a pretty niche, right? If you're a person who goes and rates games and stuff on Board Game Geek, you're on the niche within the niche, right? And people who are to that level board games, I think, often like pretty big board games.
They tend to like bigger,
Cruise
heavier
is a
games.
pretty big board game.
If you look at the top 100 on board game, it tends to skew very heavy in terms of complexity.
Of course, you've seen a lot of lighter stuff as well on this list, which is awesome.
Which is great. It goes to show how strong games across the spectrum have gotten, from the big, heavy, complicated ones to the very light, easy ones. They're all, I would say, as a whole, have gotten so good over time. Yeah.
Totally agree. So Galactic Cruise is a game where you work for a company that puts on interstellar cruises for people, these big, galactic vacations. And you are, kind of on the ground level, helping build ships with different sort of activities and entertainment.
Accommodations,
on these rocket ships. You are then getting all the resources required to launch these cruise ships, advertising to people to come and join the cruise, or else, there's not really a point in putting a cruise on with no one on it, and sending these people on these lavish vacations. So this is a worker placement game where you're going to be putting workers out into these kind of connecting spaces, I'll say, that connect to two different action groupings, and you're going to take two actions on a turn from among the actions you have available. You can take the same action twice, two different actions, and on and on and on as you try to, again, build up these rockets. Each rocket that you build will have a certain scoring condition that will trigger whenever you launch it. So you're trying to tailor the things you build and stuff to those kind of scoring conditions. The segments of the rockets you build themselves are worth points. You're kind of trying to increase your influence within the company, complete company goals. Really a lot of stuff.
Yeah, a whole
bunch. And this is one that was, the design is not from Lacerda, but was inspired by their games. This also has Ian O'Toole art.
Yeah.
So it looks kind of like
Lacerda. It looks like Lacerda, it does.
And is inspired by as such, but it's a really fun kind of, one thing I think that works for people is like the theming is cool.
Yes.
And it's kind of like a generous game for the size game it is. So there's worker placement, but no worker placement space is blocked. You can always put a worker down, but if you bump another person's worker out, they're going to get a bonus for that. They're going to get a funding bonus. They get to bring their worker back to their company board, which means they also will be able to use it again on the next turn, and they get a little bit of, an ad or some money or a point or something like that. As a bonus. So there's things like that. There's certain other, ways to get resources that, feel a little bit easier to acquire than some other games, which is nice because this is a big game with a lot going on, a lot to think about.
And one of the ways where it kind of gets generous is you can put out these, are they development tokens or the cogs, little cog wheels, and they basically will connect different action spaces together. So if I go to this action space, but I have a cog wheel in between these two action spaces, I can do actions from here or from here.
Yeah, so I misspoke when I said the connector piece. You place your worker on a paired action space, but those cogs can give you the connection to there. So
it's really cool that you can kind of reach different stuff, and you can also randomize or choose what actions are with what. So it's very, very cool. Yeah, I mean, I love it. It's interesting in the sense where it's like you're managing these cruises. You're not really like on these cruises.
No, you're just a company man.
Yeah, you're kind of a big company person. You're kind of basically a CEO. And I don't know, it's very, very fun. The look, the kind of just general vibe and feel of it is very cool. We're big Fifth Element fans, so
it feels like you're putting on these strange, lavish cruises in space.
Yeah, it's cool. It's just a big management game where you can kind of play and really explore the expansions. We've gotten to try a couple of them. They're really, really fun as well, and kind of open up the game even more.
All right, so that is that is
That's
your
not our list.
That
is objectively not our list. Yeah,
that's the people's choice. So what we want to know from you is, what were your favorite games from this past year? They may or may not line up with this list. This is just a kind of amalgamation of everyone who has, ranked, left reviews and things for these games on Board Game Geek. So again, if you're not a user of Board Game Geek, go to boardgamegeek.com, create an account, and you can import your collection, track your plays, rank your favorite games, add to the I think this game is best at 2-player. There's so much data that you
Yeah.
can gather that is all put in by the people that are actually playing these games. I think it's a super duper cool thing. And this list will inevitably change if you go and rank your favorites or your least favorites from this past year or whatever category it is you want to. So that's our other call to action for you. Check back on this video every so often. See how much this list has changed. This is a living, breathing website. This list is from a snapshot from January 7th, 2026. And it's very likely different even as you're watching it right now. This list is probably different than what is on Board Game Geek. So it's a cool thing that the list is ever changing. New games are always coming out and all that stuff. So we will see you all in the next one. I am Mike.
I'm Nick.
That is Nick. We are the Brothers Murph, and we'll catch y'all in the next People's Choice.
Bye, everybody.